An idea without knowledge, it's a blank idea. It's an idea that does not serve a purpose in this universe.
Really think about before starting any new business. To really think, is this something that I'm going to enjoy?
Knowledge is power, and when you have power, you're capable of making real impact.
Eliminate choices from your life, from your customers, and you're going to do better.
Welcome back to the show, Entrepreneurial Underdogs. And in today's episode, this is gonna be a good one. And I know it because we're talking about a general desire for many, many people. And that desire is to make money. And it's to make a lot of money. And so a lot of money for a lot of people is $10,000. And here's the good part. We're not just going to be talking about how you can make $10,000, which is quite easy for the majority of people who are working perhaps in a very good position at their job. We're going to teach you how you can make your first or next $10,000 online. And so that is the topic of the day, and we're going to be sharing all of our secrets that have helped us to get to multiple six figures online in less than 2 years. And as always, I'm joined today by my business partner and good friend, Robert Murray. Welcome, Robert.
Hey, what's up, underdogs? Pleasure to be here and super excited to jump in today's topic. I know a lot of people are really interested in learning how to make, their first $10,000 online or even to make their next 10K. So super excited to jump into the tips and strategies that we've used in order to do this on a consistent basis. And so cannot wait to jump in and share that. So, with that in mind, Alec, let's kind of dive straight in and talk about what are three things that you would say are absolutely essential that you need in place before even thinking about earning your first 10K online?
Listen, you've kicked that with a banging question, and one that's very hard. And by the way, this is just your reminder that this is a non-scripted podcast, and therefore everything that we're doing right here is raw and coming straight from our mind. And so let me dive back into the question. What are the three things that you need to have even before you consider making money? Is the number one thing that you need to have is an idea. Okay, an idea of about something that potentially has any demand. Okay, now here's the thing. In our previous episodes, we already told you how you can find your niche or how you can find that thing that will make you money that you love and that you're good at, right? But here's the thing. When you start with a blank mind. You start without having any idea about what will be the thing that will make you a star. And that's not bad necessarily. Now, here's the thing. What I encourage you is to do an exercise that consists in sitting down with a blank paper and writing about 10 ideas that you like that could potentially make you money. We don't even care about the factor of doing any specific market research. We just care about starting, okay? And the easiest way to start for you is to actually grab that paper, have a pen, and then write down the ideas. So those are the three things you need in order to start. I've done a little bit of cheating right there, okay? But you need a blank paper, a pen, and your mind so that you can generate that first idea. And I can just see Robert laughing. By the way, if you're someone who enjoys watching those podcasts, you can see that too. We will have this ready on YouTube, and so you can visit us on YouTube and check it under CEO Sphere Group. But I can see Robert laughing because he's thinking like, oh, that's wild. But those are the three things that I would say, Robert. And I'm curious to hear what's your take on that same question.
Yeah, I absolutely love how you kick this off, because before you do anything, you need to start with an idea. It needs to be something that you could see yourself doing for a long time, something that brings you a lot of excitement, and also something that has reason behind it. I've seen, a lot of new business starters, and what they tend to do is they fall into that category of, I've seen something, it's trending, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And this is one of the worst approaches that you can take. And the reason I say that is because you're basing it off of what other people are doing. And so you don't know if you like it. You've just seen that it does well, but you have no idea whether or not it's going to do well for you. And especially as a new business owner, as someone who is starting this new idea, what we see from other people's perspectives versus what actually happens tends to be a lot different. And so when you take on an idea that you have seen other people do really well, but then you realize that it's taken a little bit of time to work for you, you're very quick to just kind of drop this idea and be like, oh, it didn't work for me. I don't want to go and do it anymore. And this is one of the biggest reasons why, so many startups and new business owners fail, because they're looking at what other people are doing. And so in addition to your point, Alec, what I would recommend, and this is another phenomenal point to kind of really think about before starting any new business endeavor and wanting to earn that 10K, that first 10K, is to really think, is this something that I'm going to enjoy? Like, is this something I'm truly passionate about? And is there a meaning behind what I'm starting? Because the best businesses and the best business owners are the people that I see who say, I started this because I noticed a specific problem in this space. And you know what? I couldn't stand it anymore. I decided to jump in this because there was a real passion behind it. Like, I've been creating my entire life, and it felt like naturally I should become a designer and build my business around design, for example, right? And so rather than focus on trends and let that be your guiding star, focus on what's inside you and what you love. And you'll soon realize that no matter what those hardships are, you will continue to pursue until you start making consistent 10Ks online.
Okay, so how would you summarize into the three things someone needs from you?
Well, this is now point 2, right? So we have got the first thing you need is an idea. Okay.
Yes.
And the second thing that you need is passion. You need a real love for the idea that you are pursuing. And so now, Alec, we're going to kind of play a little bit of tennis here. We're going to play a bit of tennis here. So what is that third and beautiful thing that you believe people must have before they can start making their 10,000 online?
They need knowledge, man. They need knowledge. And they need a knowledge of some sorts. An idea without knowledge, it's a blank idea. It's an idea that does not serve a purpose in this universe. And so therefore, if you want your ideas to have any type of shape, and so if you have your ideas to be able to make a real impact in the world, and if you want to become an industry leader, you need to have an idea that is shaped by knowledge that you have obtained. And so people always keep on asking me, well, Alec, how can I become an expert in marketing? How can I become an expert in sales? How can I become an expert in persuasion? Here is the base for you to start. Okay, the best way, okay, for you to become good at it, because that's all you need. You just need to become good first. Okay, is go to freaking YouTube. Okay, go to YouTube. Okay, because YouTube now, for so many people, it's a free university. There is so much knowledge. We will be posting this on YouTube. Okay, and so just with today's secrets that are totally free, okay, with our experience, we're going to be giving all of this to you, and you will have the opportunity to learn. So YouTube, podcasts, I myself have several mentors that I listen to daily, and their content, their podcasts are free. And I love them, and I keep on learning from other people. And so, therefore, you don't even need to pay for a mentor. You don't even need to pay for a coach if you're starting out. Because the easiest way for you to start out is with all the free knowledge that there is available. Listen, it's 2023, and you have the opportunity to obtain knowledge in a variety of ways. And so, the third thing for you to be able to start and to be able to shape that idea and shape that passion into something that makes real impact, it's knowledge. And for me, knowledge is power. And when you have power, you're capable of making real impact. Knowledge.
I love that. I really love that. And the one thing I picked up on through something, what you said about like, start with the good knowledge in what you do, right? Like have knowledge and be good at something. So I don't necessarily agree with that. And the reason why I say this is like, for me, I think, it's whether you're good at something or even if you're bad at something, what's really important is that you at least have the hunger to learn that knowledge. So you can be absolutely terrible at something, but if you have a hunger to learn it and you're seeing progress when you are putting that knowledge out, then you kind of like, it's kind of like, when you're great at something and you kind of have this pre-built kind of notion inside your mind that I'm already great at this, and so it is what it is. You tend to kind of put already a ceiling on yourself that you can never go any higher. So that's why I kind of say whether you're good or whether you're bad, it's about always being hungry for more knowledge so that you continue to grow and that you can always see the growth in what you do.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that point, and I totally love it. It's just the main problem with just being hungry is I used to be hungry for becoming a sportsman, and I used to be hungry for becoming a soccer player or football player, whatever you guys want. And so I used to play a lot of football, and there was very little progress happening, and I was just not good. So I had the passion, I had the idea, but I was lacking the knowledge. So no matter how hungry I was, Robert, for becoming better, I have two left legs, guys. Okay, if you know me, you know that I'm very bad at the majority of sports. And so therefore, I had the hunger, but I didn't have the ability. And so I wonder about that. Like you're mentioning hunger, but how do you obtain the ability? And I think the ability for me, in a certain way, when you are selling a service or a product online, comes from knowledge
and skill. And skill.
And
I love that you've mentioned that because it's really important to clarify that you can be absolutely, insatiable about an idea and you can love it that much. You just want to gobble it up. However, no matter how much you eat, it's just not good enough. And that, unfortunately, and this requires a lot of self-awareness. And also, I'm not quite sure what the word is here, but we'll stick with self-awareness. You need to be very clear that if something isn't working, that you can happily say, I've tried this for long enough. It's very clear to me that this isn't working. And so I need to pursue other avenues that are going to best fit what I'm good at, and continuing to want to find what you're good at if you're in a position where you still haven't found that skill set that comes naturally to you. So self-awareness is really important.
I love that. And here's my question. A lot of people, they say, you can become everything you put your mind into. And I'm just very curious here. Do you agree with that statement? Do you think people can become anything and everything they put their mind to?
That's a really good question. Immediately in my mind, I say no. And the reason why I say no is because you can put your mind to something for so long and never see anything come out of it. I see, and I'll say this. Hey, let's take this example, right, where people from like so because I'm in the UK, I have Britain's Got Talent, but you also have like America's Got Talent, and I think it's a very global thing, right?
Yeah.
And there are unfortunately some people who believe they've got talent, and they get up on stage and they bellow their heart out, and it turns out they have not got talent, and they get a very unfortunate, wake up call from the judges who say, I really appreciate you coming out and taking your time here today to be on stage. But it was, in the famous words of Simon Cowell, absolutely dreadful. And this, unfortunately, some people choose to accept that feedback and other people choose to deny it. And it takes a very strong person to accept that, there's maybe not anything there. And not everybody loves to be the breaker of dreams, but it's very apparent when you're not moving in a direction that bears fruits. And outside perspective is really important. Like, people will be able to spot, even if it's not phenomenal, even if it's not out of this world, they would be able to say, I think you're heading in the right direction, or maybe this isn't for you. And so being open to hearing that voice of reason and knowing when to say, maybe it's not singing for me, I might be a good dancer.
Yeah, well, it's funny that you say that, because here is a very interesting case. So I was born in Bulgaria, and then I came to Spain when I was basically 9 years old. So I've been living my entire life here. But I used to watch a lot of Bulgarian television. And so there was this candidate in exactly Bulgaria's Got Talent, or it was maybe it was one of those shows for sure. And they went in singing, and they were like, yeah, no, like, I've been singing for like such a long time, X, Y, and Z, and I have the talent. And they jumped on stage, and they were absolutely horrible in their singing. They were singing about a song that's literally about 6 chickens. And they were really bad. But here's the thing, Robert. They didn't obviously progress through, and they didn't get picked up for their singing. But the audience, the general audience, thought that they are a phenomenal entertainer. And so they turned that failure in singing into being a very successful entertainer. And so everyone was recording and everyone was posting online about the 6 chickens. Okay? And so the guy became an entertainer. The guy or the girl, I don't even remember. And so therefore, it's really interesting how sometimes life puts you in the position that you deserve to be, or that is destined for you to be in. And I say that because this is why I mentioned that you just need to have a base. Because when I started, I wasn't speaking about sales. I was speaking about motivation, and I thought I just want to be this inspirational guy, this motivational guy, and I didn't really share too much about my sales knowledge online. I didn't share too much about my marketing knowledge. And as I progressed through, I might have done a one post about it. I might have created something, and people really loved it. And so therefore, the audience defined who I was going to be today. And so today, when I speak about things, I can still speak sometimes about motivation and inspiration because it's my passion. I want you to go from an underdog to being a recognized industry leader. And that's my passion. But the audience says, I love when you talk about making money, about helping me make money. Right? So at the very end, I want to throw that out there. It's fine for you to start in point A without having the knowledge about how you're going to reach point Z, because oftentimes the journey between A and Z will be defined not by you, but by those who listen, watch, and read you. Okay?
I love that, Alec, and also to add on to that, and this is going to be really important for anyone listening who does want to, increase their business, to 10,000 and beyond, is to be very aware of exactly what the people are resonating with. And to be open to experiment as well. I love that you mentioned from your personal experience, Alec, that you tried a little something here and you tried a little something there, because this really enables you to find, okay, what are people leaning towards most?
Yeah.
What are they finding? Like, what are they attracted to here? Mm-hmm. And so, especially when you're thinking about, starting your business, or even if you're thinking about creating a new product, test the waters a little bit beforehand and try and gauge where the interest is at based on putting yourself out into the world, putting an idea out into the world, and figuring out which idea people are resonating with most, because this is going to give you the best information that you'll ever get in terms of what is going to be an idea or a product or a service that people really want to pay you for.
Really phenomenal. This was brilliant. This was brilliant. I hope that you guys are listening to this, okay? And if it helps, right, you can replay those parts, okay? And you can really write that down and apply it. So the learning process and the process in which you are noticing that progress, it's very tough. And I'll tell you why it's tough, because at the beginning, everything is tough. Okay. When I first started working out, I thought running for 10 minutes at basic speed, I thought that I would literally have my heart at my mouth. I was like, okay, I am dying here. Okay. And then as I slowly progressed, right, I was like, hey, I'm starting to like that. Now, here's what happens in business. Usually, you have an idea. And you have an idea that you have passion for. And you're like, wow, this is fantastic. This is just going to be awesome. And you start with that excitement. And so you're at the top of the mountain, right? In which you just got on that roller coaster and you kind of know it's going to be a journey because it's a roller coaster. And so it's going to go. And hey, it might get a little scary. It might get a little bit. But here's the thing, when the roller coaster is going up and you're like, wow, it's so amazing and I'm so excited and this is brilliant, everything seems beautiful. Then you reach the top, okay? And you're like, okay, you look down and it's slightly scary now because you're starting out and maybe you need to put your first online video out, and maybe you just need to write your ideas, and oh my god, you might be judged, you might be seen, and then the train just goes down. Okay? And most people, they give up in that exact moment because they're like, oh my god, my heart, oh my god, this hurts, this is scary, this is terrifying, and they give up. And that is what is called the valley of despair. And it's where 90% of the people give up. And so if in the past you were part of those 90% and you gave up, don't worry. Because if you listen to us today, you will be part of the 10% who are going to be able to succeed. Okay, here's what happens next. For the 10% who continue through the valley of despair, okay, and they pass that part, you can feel at the bottom of the roller coaster your heart racing and pumping, and you can just be like, oh my god, but you're back into the excitement. Now, here's the thing. Now you already know that it's scary, and now you already know that it's hard. And so the next time the train goes up, you know it's going to go down, and you know it's going to be scary, but you know that it's going to be okay. And when you continue through that part, and you're part of this 10%, it's where you start collecting your first points, your first money, your first recognition, your first comment, your first follower. And with every single one, things get easier. And so people always keep on asking us, guys, how did you build an audience to over 700,000, right? We're nearly at 1 million. And they're like, what happened? Well, it wasn't overnight, right? And so my question, Robert, is exactly that. How can people get through that difficult part, through the valley of despair, so that they can reach recognition and they can make their first money or their next money?
For sure. And I love the analogy that you gave, like, with the valley of despair, because, and that, also that you're on a roller coaster.
You are.
Because it's really important in business when you're thinking about, scaling any idea to the moon, is to realize that your entire journey in business is a roller coaster.
Yeah.
It's never going to be straight up forever. And it's also never going to be straight down forever. It's important to realize that this journey, this roller coaster, is going to go up. It's going to go down. It's probably going to do some twists and turns. And the first thing is to be prepared for it, to really understand that there is no straight up and there is no straight down. Once you understand that preparation and knowing that you're going to have highs, that you're going to have lows, already sets you up in a good mindset to understand that, hey, it's not all just up from here. And so to answer your question now, Alec, in like, how do you grow an audience of that size? So again, it's about preparation, preparing yourself that you're not going to reach 700,000 straight away, and you're going to have high points and you're going to have low points. Now, the second point, and I'm going to refer back to what we discussed a little bit before in our conversation, which was, experimenting in ways that allow you to try one thing in a variety of different ways, and also to try a few things in a variety of different ways. Experimentation is going to, help you find your strong suit. And the third piece of advice that I would add as well is to be very aware of what's happening around you. Be very aware of what people are saying to you, because it's great. You're prepared for the ups and downs. You're not going in with any pre-built expectations of it's going to be amazing. Okay. You are happy to experiment, to work at it, and to find what you're really good at creating. Now, this third point is looking out for what the people are saying, because through experimentation and through closely monitoring what does well, you're going to find your X factor. You're going to find something that you can create repeatedly that makes you happy, that you're great at, and that other people love. And when you've got that, that is what enables you to build products, ideas, content marketing that scales your business to the moon.
I love that. And I think the best thing would be, I just want to add exactly one thing that I believe will be defining, okay? And that is being grateful. Okay, at the very end, if you're always chasing the next big thing, you're never going to be happy. Okay? And I heard it from Sadhguru, who is a very knowledgeable man, and certainly one of the online mentors that I have. And he said, hey, if you are an olive tree, right, why Do you want your olives to be as big as the apple tree across the street? Why do you want to? Because it's never going to be possible. You cannot look up to other people with the understanding that what they have is better, that what they have is even achievable, because it may not be. Okay? Because you may be able to achieve other things which are equally as good. Okay? So the olives, okay, can still grow to be big enough. Now, do they need to be the size of an apple? No, and it will never ever happen. But what matters is that you water your own tree and that you water your own garden, that you focus on being better every day. 1% better every day will make you at the very end of the year an incredible human being. And that's all that matters. And so being grateful is the other thing that I would add to this formula of success online.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It is really important. I think that gratitude really does help you to remain grounded throughout this entire journey. Like we said before, when you go in with the expectations, that gratitude kind of goes out the window because you've pre-built this idea that you need a specific goal in order for your efforts to be validated. And it's not necessarily the case. More oftentimes, you will find that you are doing something and it takes 6 months, it takes a year, it takes goodness knows how long to turn into anything. And I really kind of think about like my own journey when I first started. I left my corporate job, and at first, I started putting myself out into the world, and I was seeing nothing. It took me so long to get anywhere, and it took me 6 months to get my first client online. And I was creating content every single day. I was attracting people, but I wasn't attracting customers. And so in my mind, I was like, what's going on? But I always found, different ways to just kind of like always be grateful for what I had. So yes, okay, people weren't going crazy about inquiring on my business. However, there were a lot of people who were learning and thanking me for the content I was putting out into the world. So I was grateful for it. And what's really important is so long as you see some sort of return, some sort of appreciation externally from other people, this is really a sign that you're on the right path. It's just not yet time for your big break. And
I love that.
It's at that point where you really do need to stick at it, because external appreciation from other people, it really does turn into a business
fuel.
Event. Yeah,
it's a fuel.
I love that. No, please share what you're going to say, Alec.
No, I was just saying that it's a fuel, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, it's like this. Like, think of it this way. Like, every time this happens, a little bit more fuel is going into the tank of your car. You're not quite ready. You're not quite reaching that first client yet. But what's happening, and I'm going to put this into terms that are a lot more understandable now. No car analogies here. Is that every time somebody expresses appreciation towards what you do, it means that you are doing something phenomenal.
Man.
And so when that's happening, it requires one person to think, you're great at this. You should continue on this path. One person eventually becomes two people. Two people, it will eventually duplicate and become four. It's going to keep growing and growing to the point where people start talking about you. You start becoming a conversation among people. And then they start saying, hey, like, if you ever need like help with this, I really recommend like this person. And from a social media perspective, it kind of happens that people will send you an account via a link and say, hey, check out this guy. Like, he's absolutely phenomenal. And this is what I noticed, in my first year. It took me an entire year for people to really start sharing my name like crazy. And then
Exactly.
in the third year, it just happened on automation where now it just people are sharing it amongst each other on a consistent basis. When I put content out, people are like, hey, you've got to check this out. They tag their friends because I've made enough of an impact for people to now see my account name and immediately trust who it is that's putting out this knowledge. And so people want to work with me because of that fact. And trust is one of the hardest things to build. But when you put in the effort consistently, that is when people start talking. And that is when business gets attracted to you continuously.
I love that. I love that, mate. And yeah, so it does take time. But let's speak, Robert. We've covered the majority of the theory behind it, but I just want us to go for the last 20 minutes into full action. Okay, what are the exact steps people need to take in order to get to that first 10,000? Okay, so let me start. Okay, you need to probably create an online account. And people are always like, Alec, can I make money online without having an account? I'm like, ooh, that's a tough one. Okay, and it's a tough one because no one buys the product they don't know about. Okay, and so at the very end, you want to make money, you need to put something out there. And if you are considering being a personal brand, then therefore, you need to probably show your face too and not be afraid of putting yourself out there. Okay. The second thing is, once you have the knowledge and once you know that this is going to be hard, okay, it's your time to find how can you make it easy for you. Now, here is the best thing to do. Get the first 100 days on the house. Okay, say like, listen, for the 100 days that I'm going to be doing any of this, I do not care about the results. I will just be putting things out and I will be showcasing my knowledge. Now, here's what we recommend. You have a variety of paths. And so if you are an artist, okay, you can be an entertainer. If you are someone who is genuinely inspirational because your friends keep on asking you about advice, okay, so maybe you need to be that inspirational person online. And if you're someone who has a specific knowledge, then you need to showcase that knowledge online. You need to go ahead and teach people about it. Now, do this for 100 days without expecting anything. And I almost guarantee you're going to have people inquiring about you teaching them if you are semi good. Now, how do we help you become good? Here's exactly what Robert will cover in this point. And so, Robert, how can people actually create good content? What is good content to you, and how can they do it?
I love that. Yeah, and I also love that you said, what is good content to you? Because great content is subjective.
It's
People
subjective.
all have different tastes. And so the very first thing, and I always start with this, is to, of course, experiment. Experiment with what you enjoy creating and also experiment with what you notice other people enjoy watching. And so it's really about finding that middle ground between what are you comfortable creating when you create your content, put it out into the world, and what are people resonating most with. So that's the very first thing. Now, getting more specific, it is about what is your message, and is it useful? Does it make sense? And does it get to the point quickly? Especially when you're in a social media setting such as Instagram or TikTok, where attention spans are not the best. You have to get your point across as clearly and effectively as possible. The moment that you start adding in extra pieces of information that bear no relevance is all the more reason for people to stop paying attention. And so when creating content for yourself, for your personal brand, for your business, I always look at what is absolutely necessary for you to say in order for it to be relevant to the viewer, in order for it to be entertaining and interesting for the viewer, and also what makes it helpful to the viewer. These three things are essential.
I love that. And I would like to add to your last point, and it's like, guys, what makes it useful for your audience is if it helps them live a better life. Okay, now, if it helps them live a better life for the next 15 seconds, because they're laughing and they show it to their friend, they show it to their family, and they're all laughing together, phenomenal, brilliant. Okay, what about if it motivates them to take an action? Okay, what if it motivates them to send that text that I love you, okay, to that person that they were scared to talk to? Okay, that's valuable to me. Okay, it helps me achieve a certain goal that is inspirational. And so the final point is, what if it helps them solve a problem in their life? Okay, that is more towards the educational content. Okay, it helps them understand how they can make $10,000 next month. Phenomenal. I want to know about that. Okay, and so therefore, if you figure out one of those things, okay, and if you figure out how to help people live a better life, oh, you are in for a sweet jackpot soon. And so here's the thing. Most people, they're listening to us right now. And underdogs, you need to understand one thing. Sometimes it takes time to figure that out. But usually you have the answers inside you. And why do you have the answers inside you? It's because you've oftentimes faced those problems yourself. So I always tell people, you cannot be educating other people about something that you just have never done, because your approach will be totally made up. Okay? I can probably not teach you how to make $1 billion because I haven't made $1 billion. And so when I reach that stage, I will probably make a podcast episode with Robert, okay, about how can you get to $1 billion. Okay, so the main thing that you need to understand is, if you speak from your own experience, you are oftentimes going to get incredible feedback. Why? Because if it's my own experience, I can never be judged. Okay? So if I teach you about what it feels like to live in Spain for 15 plus years, you can't tell me, okay, no, but that's wrong, because I'm telling you what it feels like. Okay, this is what it feels like for me. This is what I've experienced. This is what I've done. You cannot negate the fact of my experience, right? Very simple. If I teach you about what I had for lunch this afternoon, you can't tell me that's not true. That's incorrect. And so what I encourage you is, gather your best experiences of life that you even may think, oh, but who cares about that? Well, is there a lesson in there? Does it help someone live a better life? Yes or no? Yes. Then make a post about it, make a video about it, release it into the world. Because if you help one person, two person, three people, four, right? That does not matter. What matters is you help the first one. And that oftentimes it's enough. And that oftentimes will change your entire world. Okay? So that is how you make great content that generates money. Okay?
I really love that point, Alec, and I wanted to add to your point as well, and that is that, especially when people are trying to build their brand online, they're trying to build a business. I often find that the the biggest thing lacking is an experience. Like, what led you to do what it is that you're doing today? And when you start sharing those experiences, when you start sharing the story around why you do what it is that you do, you realize that people on an emotional level start to resonate a lot more with what you have to say, because it's no longer about the facts or the figures. It's really about, like, this is my story. This is how I came to this solution. This is how I came to this conclusion. You can't argue with that. You can't argue with my fact. This is what I'm doing today. And this is what makes really powerful content online, is sharing your experience on how you managed to arrive at an idea or at a solution. So I love that you mentioned that.
And I don't care if you have every morning Cheerios. Okay, what I care about is, what does it mean for me that you have every morning Cheerios? So I oftentimes speak about the fact that I have the exact same breakfast for the past 2 years. Okay, it consists in a granola cereal, okay, with yogurt, and I mix in some honey and I mix in some peanut butter, and I usually put some type of fruit, and I sprinkle, there's this some additives of protein, okay, and it's delicious. And none of that matters to you unless I tell you that this actually saves me a significant amount of time, because I've basically automated half of my life so that it functions for me. And it also gets me the exact same nutritive value so that I don't have to calculate that for the rest of my day. And so therefore now I'm telling you, here's how you can do it too. Pick up food that you actually love, okay, and have it ready every single day. And if you love it, okay, naturally you will enjoy it, and therefore you always have saved a massive amount of time, but you would also have a freaking good nutrition. And now I am telling you why what I just said benefits you. Now, if I just ended the whole statement in, guys, I just have the same breakfast for the past 2 years, what value does that add to you? None. Zero. You don't care. So, why should your audience care about what you are saying? Always have that in your mind.
100%. Yeah. So what's in it for me, and why, and why is it important? It's like they answered the same sort of question, but like, I always think that, what and why, there's some clear differences. It's like, the what behind it is kind of like clear benefits. Whereas why is like, oh, okay, like, this is your routine. This is why you do it, because it makes your life more optimized. You're getting more out of your day. And that is what's so important. Anything that you do share, understand even how a personal story of yours can actually be relevant to people. Because I love that you've said that you've taken the most like blandest idea ever and made it incredibly useful. It's literally saying, breakfast cereal, what? However, how would you like to gain back, an extra 20 minutes of your day, not worrying about what breakfast you eat? And this really gets me into like the next point as well. And these are some really direct, actionable tips for you right now. So you've just heard Alec talking about how he has a structured breakfast every single day. Who would have thought breakfast and entrepreneurship would ever see the same kind of synergy here? But it has. And so now you know how to save 20 minutes in your day. Well, here's another 15 to 20 minutes as well. Because from my experience, I tend to wear the same 4 suits every single day. That's how
Every day.
I live my life.
Oh, okay.
Not every day. So,
Oh, okay. I was like, Robert, Robert wears, okay, breaking news. Robert wears
Breaking
the
news.
same 4 suits every day. So he just like changes every moment. Okay,
Quick.
so for the next podcast, you'll see him in another suit. Okay, tune in into our YouTube.
Yeah, no, it becomes a mission when you have to keep changing into those 4 suits every day. No, I only ever wear 4 different suits. And so I have 4 suits that I have that I will wear. And this enables me to not think, what am I going to wear today?
Yeah.
And once again, it's just alleviating those unnecessary choices that we put on ourselves every single day. And so this really boils down to everything that you do in life, not just your cereal, not just what you wear, but how can you eliminate choices in the work that you do? How can you eliminate choices in your everyday tasks? There's this psychological theory called Parkinson's law, and I'm going to share with you another tip that you can use. So Parkinson's law is basically like time stretches to accommodate basically whatever it is that you're doing. And so if you don't set yourself a time frame, you'll carry out your task as long as it possibly can. But if you say to yourself that within this time frame, I'm going to achieve this, and within 30 minutes, no matter what happens, I'm going to get that done or not. Now that you've set that constraint in your mind, you now work to that deadline and you complete that task within it. If you don't, fine, but you still stop doing it within that time because you are training yourself to become more effective, allowing you to gain back more time in your day. And that is what we all need more of in order to be able to make more money.
I love that, Robert. And I'll add another tip that follows the exact same logic. And there is another psychological theory that is called the paradox of choice. And it is that oftentimes when we have more choices, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're happier or that we feel better about the situation that we're in. In fact, it causes more stress and delay in the decision. So you waking up in the morning and saying, what shall I eat today? Should I eat cereal? Should I eat eggs? Oh my God, there is these leftovers from the other day. Oh my God, look at that waffle that I have. Like, what should I eat today? And so you end up wasting 20 minutes of your time just choosing your breakfast. That is something incredibly insignificant. I could have made $500 in those 20 minutes. And so the same happens with choosing your clothes, and the same happens with the majority of your choices. And so how do you feel? How do you think your customer feels when you give them to choose between 17 products? Because listen, you can get my course and my book, and you can purchase my best program, and here is my mini program. And did you know about, oh my God, check this out. I don't just speak about sales. I speak about motivation, and I speak about, I have my master course on productivity. Forget about that. Focus on the one thing that you can be incredible at. Less is more, and it's proven by the paradox of choice. So you need to apply that online too, so that you can run a successful online business and reach your first or next $10,000.
100%. Yeah, I love that you've mentioned that, Alec, because especially when it comes to building out your offers and what you want customers to pay for, to give them too many options is going to distract customers rather than attract them. The moment we see too many options placed in front of us is the moment that we run out of there. So eliminate choices from your life, from your customers, and you're going to do better.
Okay, so let's do a quick recap and tell you the final part of how you can start making $10,000 basically, over the next couple of months. And so here's the quick thing. Okay, we've covered how you can start Okay, so if you're an underdog who's just starting out, who doesn't have an idea about what should they do, you need an idea. Okay, you need a blank paper, you need to sit down and write, and then you need some passion. What is it you like? What is it you like teaching people about? And then you need that knowledge that you are getting today. So if you're loving everything that we're speaking about so far, subscribe, because this is what we do. We bring you some of the most up-to-date, innovating tips when it comes to business and living a better life. Okay? Subscribe so that you can receive those. Then we also told you how you can make great content based on our experiences and based on us building an audience of 700,000 online and multiple six figures in less than 2 years. And then we've also told you why you should basically automate your life and how you can do it with a simple technique and a simple strategy. Now, the final thing is, you've started online and we told you how you can beat the valley of despair and progress through. But Robert, let's imagine that people are posting great content for 100 days and they are consistent. And how do they actually get people to ask about their services?
Well, you just ask. so to add clarity to that, you need to be clear on, and this kind of goes back to exactly what we talked about today, is that whenever you're asking for something, it's super clear to be very clear what it is that you want people to do. Okay, so you do need to say, like, what exactly are they going to gain first? Because it's really important to lead with what's in it for me. Why should I do this? And so whenever thinking about asking for a sale, lead with how it benefits your customer's life. This really answers the why behind your customer's decision making. And then you want to lead into how it works. So tell people, like, okay, you've said why they should do it, because there's a huge benefit to them, but how can you really prove that your idea works? Like, what do you have to show that you can actually bring in results? Because especially with anyone who's never seen you before and you're asking them for their money, they're skeptical and they want to know, how can you prove what it is that you're saying? What proof do you have to show me that I can trust you? And so once you've covered that point, you then need to say, well, what do I need to do next? How do I actually get in touch with you? So you need to have like a call to action that really simply says, this is what you need to do in order to get in touch with me and start receiving my services, and make it easy for them. Something so simple so that there is no need to think about what do I need to do, what do I need to say, be that they just need to tap a button and put in their name and they're immediately ready to get on a call with you. You want to make it super simple for people so that they can get in touch with you as easy as possible. Because again, as we talked about, the more choices you put in front of someone, the more difficult it becomes for them to work with you.
Eliminate the paradox of choice, and I would add, in your call to action, add the benefit. So why should they get in touch? Okay, get in touch with me by doing X in order to achieve Z. Z being the result. Okay, underdogs, we have been doing this now for an hour, and we've shared with you some incredible tips. And now it's time for us to say goodbye for today's episode. But listen, we're going to be back with some more incredible tips. And if you're someone who is listening to us on a regular basis and you have some questions that you want answered, please send them to us. We're always on social media. We're always available to answer those questions and to maybe make an entire episode out of it. And so we're going to be seeing you on the next episode. And remember, we believe in you even when no one else does. Speak to you soon. Ciao.